Okay, we have here at the Zoom 38 students. Actually, those who registered with me around almost 400 students. Okay, we can wait. They may come from time to time since today is Saturday. Everybody want to have more sleep, I think. Okay. Hi, Mr. Fu. Okay, thank you for coming with us and for joining us, and thank you for the rest of the student here. We have 52 students. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Since we don't have yet, we don't have the a group of student leaders in the center in the unit. So I have to take charge to assign myself as the MC for today. So welcome back, Mr. Hu. Actually, Mr. Hu is not new to me and not new to the CFS, but this time Mr. Hu become the great speaker for our new students, since this is the first program, because you come to the center as your first priority is to study. So I think that it's a need for us to drop the last mindset and the school mindset and adapt to the new mindset before you start your study journey at the center. And next we go to degree program as you continue for your degree program. Okay, so welcome back, Mr. Fu. Thank you very much for your continuous support. Never say no to me. That the best one. Never say no to Kak Niza. Okay. Okay, let us begin with Umul Kitab Al-Fatihah. Okay. Actually, I don't want to introduce who is who. This handsome guy here. I don't want to introduce him. Because I know that who will introduce himself. But Fu is not new since the last during PJ time, during our PJ time campus, Fu come 2 times, I think, and then we stopped invite Fu just because of the location quite far. But I invited Fu for my school, my children's school, and Fu still come. That's the best part lah. Okay, and then I bring some of my friends to see school presentation, to bring the program to the level of Pahang State. And Alhamdulillah, so far, every time I see the presentation, I get something new. Who always add something new and something big to the humanity. Okay, thank you very much. And today, for my new student, please grab this opportunity. Sacrifice your Saturday more sleep habits. Me too, I have more sleep habits on Saturday, but today we sacrifice that sleep because we want to get something new and something better for as a receipt for our starting good in new journey. Okay, without further delay and without further ado, please, I invite Mr. Fu. The whole floor today is yours. Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Kak Niza. Kak Niza, can you hear me? I just want to make sure the audio is clear. Right, thank you so much. Good morning to all students who are currently listening, right, either through Zoom or through YouTube, as well as the listeners and audience from YouTube itself. Good morning, a very good morning to you. Now, as what Miss Niza was saying, what we're going to do today is we're going to spend the morning of the Saturday to talk about study and to talk about you, right? Without further ado, let's begin our presentation slide here. Okay, so I'm pressing the sharing button right now. Right, I hope you can see what's happening over here with the slides. So let's go ahead with that. Okay, Right. So thank you so much for your invitation again, Kak Niza. I always think it is an opportunity for me to add value to the society, to the students, those who think they want to, pick up a bit or experience from what I had in the past. So my name is Fu. Welcome to Study and You program organized by IIUM CFS. Thank you, Kak Niza, one more time. So my full name is Fu Chi Fong, but I would prefer if you call me Fu without D or without L at the back. So just call me Fu will do. I had a degree in engineering from National University of Malaysia. It was around 11 years ago. So I was a registered engineer for Board of Engineer Malaysia, Institute of Chemical Engineer Malaysia, and internationally. I'm also a registered member for an Atomic Energy Licensing Board in the past. And 5 years ago, I decided to quit my job as an engineer. And that's when I started founding Springgate Academy, a homeschool located in Balakong. And we focus on primary and secondary educations for students who desire to pursue private education. So on the right-hand side, you'll see this is a book that I published 6 years ago. It was published in Canada. I was lucky enough to get a best-selling title just before it was sent for printing. So what is this book is about? Why my score is better than yours? It's about how to assist students to shorten the learning time and at the same time achieving a great score. And this is exactly what we're going to talk about today as well. Just a little background so that you know who is Fu and where is he coming from. Right, I came from a small town called Segamat in Johor. So there's a school called SMK Sekwa back in Segamat, where this school was top in terms of academic result when it comes to, the entire state of Johor, right? And very soon after I finished with my secondary education, I got offered to pursue my education in Johor Matriculation College before I went into UKM. So this was basically where I spent my graduation day with my fellow friend. And what so happened during that graduation day was when we were done, after we took this photo, a professor approached me and sort of dragged me to the site. And he sort of asked me, "Congratulations, Fu, but I want to speak to you. Do you have a minute?" I said, "Yes, Prof. How can I help you?" So I went to the site with him and he started saying, "So congratulations again. It's not easy, being a graduate for chemical engineer, but I have something to offer you if you don't mind me asking during your graduation ceremony." And I was like, "What is it, Prof? You make me curious." So he said, "I have a program for you, right? You think about this. You are having a degree right now. Okay, and I needed someone to do the research for me. And since your results are really good, if you are agreeable to this, offer, what I can do is I will park you under my supervision, which is the professor's supervision. And guess what? By the age of 25, 26, you'll be called doctor." I was like, "What do you mean, Prof? I'm offering you a PhD program." So I was really shocked because to me, my understanding was we have to go through degree and after that master program before you can enroll in PhD program. So that was when I was offered a PhD program right on my graduation ceremony 10, 11 years ago. I was really shocked. But coming back, knowing that I'm the type of person I prefer working, put my hands into work and add value to the society, I politely rejected the offer. And eventually, this is basically what happened. My understanding is that bachelor degrees has to continue to master degrees before we can move on to the doctorate degree. Right. After I politely rejected the offer, we still maintained a great relationship between myself and the professor, and I went on with a job in oil and gas industry. So I started working with a national oil and gas company and eventually moved on to a US company. So I spent around 5 years in the industry. I can't say I don't like it because, truth to be told, chemical engineering was my first choice. I loved it. Oil and gas was my first choice. I loved it, right? But perhaps I should say I thought I loved it. So when I joined the company, after a few months of training, I was given a chance to go to offshore, meaning you have to, pass all your safety tests, getting your NIOS passport, Petronas passport, before you can officially visit the platform to conduct the role that you're being assigned. So the first day I went to platform for work, I started regretting. Well, instead of saying started regretting, I found out something more about myself, which is actually what I thought I liked, I wasn't actually like it very much. But cut the story short, I went back and forth with this job for like 5 years. In between, I did a lot of thinking. If I were to change my career, what should I do? What should I prepare? And so on. And there is this one fine day, right? I came back from a job in Sabah, and I still remember the ship came anchorage in Labuan, right? So when the ship was by the side of the dock, we get down from the ship, and I turn on my phone. Just for your extra information, when we were in the middle of the sea, it is no point turning on your phone because there's no signal there anyway. Yeah, so we always kept our phone off or in the pilot mode. So when we were on the shore, we turned on our phone. So I turned on our phone, and message started coming in. And together with me, there was this UK friend, friend from UK, and I received a message with an unknown number, unsafe number, and I was like, where does this message came from? So I asked my friend. He was like, this is the message from UK. Do you have a friend in UK? I said, no. Then I went and checked what the message is all about. So this is what the message was. Hi, Mr. Fu. My name is Philip. And I just want to thank you for teaching me, physics and math in the past. That I wanted to tell you that today is my graduation in UK. And right after today, I'll be a chemical engineer like you. At that moment, I was totally speechless. I stood there while my friend walked ahead. It was at that moment also I started knowing what I want to do with the rest of my life. Because the truth is, when I was 17 years old, finished with my SPM, wanted some extra pocket money. I started giving tuition, from houses to houses, sometimes a tuition center as well. The purpose is only to make some pocket money, right? And when I moved on to university, or even when I was an engineer with a company, at nighttime or sometimes when I came back offshore, I would still spend some time, with some students. They would call up and say, "Do you have time? Please come over and help me." So I would just go, at nighttime, until they have their problem solved. So when I received that message, instantly, I think I know what I want to do with my life. So I started planning accordingly, and I wrote a book after I quit that job, and I enrolled myself for 3 years, full 3 years, checking with myself, because this time around, having an experience of getting into the university course that I thought I loved, like getting into a job that I thought I loved, I learned my lesson in a way that you have to put your feet in the water to see whether you genuinely love something you thought you love to. So this time around, I decided to spend the next 3 years of my life teaching tuition in tuition center, continue the home tutoring work, as well as getting a job in a private school. So I put myself full-time working from Monday to Sunday in 3 different positions, because all of it involves teaching, but at different locations and different places, dealing with different people, different group and size of people. And that's when I found out I really enjoy every single moment of it, even though I have to work on Saturday or Sunday. From that, I decided to take one step further, and that's when I produced another book, with the book that I talked to you about, which is Why My Score is Better Than Yours. I had it written in 9 months and published within the same time period as well. And after all this checking, I'm still in love with that work itself. So that's when, back in 2018, together with a few team members of myself, I believe they are currently looking at a YouTube video right now, we decided to found Springate Academy, right? Fast forward the story until last week. As you can see, the IGCSE, which stands for International General Certificate for Secondary Education, is an examination held by Cambridge from the UK across the globe to test the students' ability in all different subjects when they are about to finish with a secondary education. So I picked 10 students out of Springate Academy and apply onto them the technique which I'm about to share with you today. From January this year, all the way until the beginning of May this year, and this is their results. Out of 40 subjects taken, 85% of it score between A star to A. 94% of them score A star to B. And 100% of them score A star to C, which is everything passed. Now take a look at this. All the students that I mentioned, they voluntarily enrolled in this challenge. Not all students, because you can only educate those who are willing. And I believe the one you are listening to right now, I mean, the one you are viewing this video right now, I think you are the one who is daring enough. You have a goal, you're pursuing it, that's why you're here. So this is why I'm sharing this with you. The program was open to those who are willing to be educated, which is why we limit to only a group of students. And out of this group of students, and I have to tell you that some of them, they came from national school, some of them, they came from international school, some of them, they just came back from overseas. Some of them, they were almost in the verge of joining a gang. Put it another way, they almost become a gangster if they dropped out of school the moment they enroll, right? But within a few months period of time, adopting the technique which I'm about to share with you, this is the results. So with that, I really believe I can do something today to help you achieving your goal. But before that, in order to make sure the right content can fall into the right container, we have to make sure the container is of the proper and appropriate size. What do I mean? All of you who are currently listening to me right now, we all come from a different background, from a different environment, situation. Some of you might even on a bed. Some of you might holding your phone in the toilet. Sorry for that, but some of you might holding your phone, on the way doing something, grabbing your food, for example. Yeah, all of us came from a different environment, location, and obviously with different intention. But in order to benefit from this Saturday morning itself, it is really important and crucial for us, to make sure our mind is open enough. What do I mean? At this point of time, if you're alone, feel free to check in with yourself. Are you coming this session with mind full of thoughts, thinking what to eat for lunch? What is going to happen if I don't attend this session? How will I be resuming my excellent results coming to a new college, IIUM? Or where would my classmates be? Are you coming here in this session with a mind full of stuff? Or are you going to be mindful where you are ready to empty your mind and take in whatever that I'm about to share with you? I believe all of us heard about this. When a glass is full or half full, it is quite hard for you to fill in the glass further for the fact that it will overflow. But if you come in with an empty glass, I truly believe that the session will be much more beneficial for yourself. Second, some of us see this picture before. For the person in left, that character lies on the floor, seems like a 6 to him, whereas on the person on the right-hand side, it seems like a 9 to him. So all of us, as we mentioned just now, we all came from a different background. We have our perception towards certain thing, our understanding towards certain situation. So we always rely on it when it comes to a situation like this. What I meant is, when it comes to new environment, we tend to depends on our preconception to judge whether this is new, this is correct, this is wrong. So things has different perspective. My invitation to you today, at least for this session, is that if you can keep your mind open, and hopefully you can see things from a totally different perspective. Like the man on the right will be switching the position to the left and see things from a different perspective. If you can do this, I believe you would at least learn a bit of thing today. Next, well, in Springgate Academy, or being a teacher myself, I always believe there's one best teacher everywhere you go. And the name of that teacher is called Miss Take. Okay. Remember the results that I showed you? About 85% A star to A, and then 90%, 94% A star to B, and then 100% of C to A star to C. One of the critical element is that how do we interpret mistake? Now, if I'm allowed to share this with all of you here, I'm afraid the fact that it's currently happening with all the population in Malaysia, if not Asian countries itself, is that all of us were trained to be fear of mistake. We have this belief where mistake is bad and we shouldn't be doing it too much, or at least not letting people know when we made one. For today's session, if only you accept my invitation, could we temporarily see mistake in a different way? What I mean is, if possible, let's just for this session itself, see how it benefits you by look at mistake as a guidance to tell us what we should have done, right? If you can do that, you will benefit much more, and you will know one of the major and main tips on how to score better. Okay, and lastly, commitment. I believe it's easier to commit 100% than commit 98%. For those who are sitting at home currently or standing currently listening, unless you are in a driving position, then you are excused from this small little experiment. For those who are sitting or standing at the moment, let's play a game. If you are sitting, could you try sit with 98%? I mean, only 98% of your body is trying to sit. The remaining 2% of you is trying to stand, and vice versa for those who are standing at the moment. For those who are standing at the moment, try stand 98% of your body, with 2% of your body trying to sit. Maybe for the first few seconds, you find it okay, but hang in there for another 5 minutes, you will realize your thigh is really fatigued, in a fatigue situation. So this is what I meant with 100% commitment is easier than 98%. Come on. We have at least 52 weeks in a year. And you are going to spend one of the 52 Saturdays, morning of it, here, see what, this guy with the glasses and the spiky hair got something to share with you or not. Because in the end of the day, I couldn't see you. So rest assured that I have you in my best intention. This is also why I always say yes to Miss Niza. Right. With that said, this is going to be our container, right? Meaning to say, let's go back. This will be our container, as in which the way that we're going to set our mind for this entire session is that we're going to be mindful, see the things as it is. We're going to open with our perception, willing to change their position and see things from a different angle. That we are going to embrace mistake as one of the indications to show us what we should do differently, and to commit 100% of the time. Since you are already here, let's make it a meaningful session for yourself. Right. As you all know, this program is about study and you. Not big deal, just two things, study and you. And as it is true for all the matter of fact in the universe, if we focus on the right thing, the rest will be taken care by itself. So since we have two things here, study and you, let's embark on the journey on understanding the you part, which is yourself, right? So for the first session, all the way until 10:30, we're going to talk about you. How do we use the following techniques and questionnaires to understand more about ourselves before we move on to the next session, which will begin at 10:45? We're going to talk about the study part, right? These two, you can't afford to have one without another, especially the one that we are talking right now, the you part. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, congratulations to being able to secure the place in such a prestige education institution, IUM. I really wanted you to know, I came from national, or you could say a national education background, and now I'm involving myself in a private institution, private education background. So I've been hearing a lot that those who can enter a local university, they are the cream of the cream. So meaning to say, for those who are listening, and for those who are lucky enough to secure that location, a place in IUM, do not miss this opportunity to shine. Yeah. But I wanted to ask that all of you here, do you know what is your life calling? What do you want to do with your life? What keeps you awake every single morning and feel excited about the day? This is what we are going to find out for this session. Okay, as you can see, there are 3 circles. It looks like a dartboard with the very center word stated why. And eventually, as you progress outward, there's how and there's what. Okay, what's why? Why is the purpose, okay? How would be the process? And what will be the results? So it might be a little challenging to comprehend this why, how, and what. So allow me to tell you a story of my personal self. Let's start with why. What is your cause? What do you believe, right? Here, if you don't mind me telling you a story about why, how, and what of myself, so that you have a better perspective of what we are talking about. As you know, I came from, I would say, below average income family, where my mother has to work from Monday to Sunday every single day in front of a sewing machine from 8 o'clock all the way to 5 o'clock just to make ends meet and put foods on the table. I see it with my own self. And being the eldest son in the family, I always feel I hope I can do something, to assist the situation, to alleviate the burden. My father is working in the timber industry, so he's working very hard also just to make sure we have a quality education. So we were sent, all myself and my sibling was sent to national school. So when I was young, I went to the primary school and I was put in a C class. For information, the class has this classification where A being the first class, B being the second, and so on. Depending on the population, sometimes we can go all the way until P class, like 1P, you get me right? A lot of people's in the school. So for primary school, I've been in 1C, the third class, 2C, 3, 4, 5, 6C. Always in the third class. I don't know why. It's not too high, not too low. And I feel sometimes I'm really frustrated with it, not making any progress with it. Well, since we are doing this live in YouTube, I'm going to share with you this personal story. Maybe she is watching at the moment. Ever since I was in a kindergarten, there's this girl that I like very much, from kindergarten. and we shared the same kindergarten, and then we shared the same primary school, but she was constantly in the first class. So while I was from 1C to 6C, she was always in the class of 1A to 6A. And this kind of popular is that I always wanted to see if I can be in the same class with her. But I didn't do anything. I didn't have this how part. I have my why, but I didn't have my how, which is the action taken. So I've been waiting for luck to see whether by any chance when next year school will open, I'll be put in the A class, which obviously not. So I think somehow I still have a little bit of luck. By the end of national school, we took this examination, which I believe you heard it, UPSR. And I was lucky enough to score 6A out of 7. I think not too bad. She was scoring the same result as well. So we transit to the same secondary school. And I was really happy going to that school because this time around, I think with the change environment, I'll be able to share the same class with her already. So very, very happy I went into the school, and only to realize I was still put in the C class, Form 1C. And she was still in Form 1A. Kind of getting quite pissed over the entire situation. That year itself, I decided to put in equivalent action to make sure my result shoots up. Form 2, when I move on to 2A, she came down to 2B. It's okay. I hang in there. I keep putting in the effort. And, maybe you are not from the same school environment that I was from. I was from a Chinese national school. Now, the competition was really fierce. Out of 600 students, with the effort and so on, I managed to put myself in the top 3 position when it comes to academic results. So with 2 marks away from the second position and 1 mark away from the first position. So the competition was really tough. And since I was always on the 3rd position and I always wanted to know how can I improve myself further. So I started asking people around, how do you study? How do you study? What do you do? Why is your result so good? Apparently, only when I grew up, I found out that they thought I was a spy. What do I mean? Generally, when I ask those students how to study and so on, I received 2 types of answer. First type, see whether you share the same experience. First type, oh, I didn't know, I didn't know how to study. I was just so happened to be so lucky. I studied this one and then the next day it came out. I really don't know how to study, but I just lucky. Second type, okay, this one, right? Oh, actually, I studied at this time, and then, okay, this topic, you study here, you study here, you study here. Sure, come out. It's going to come out in exam. Both methods, I trusted them. For the second one, I listened to one of my friends who's currently a doctor. I listened to him. And guess what? When the result came out, I almost flunked my subject because he has been pointing to me to the wrong direction. So that was my experience. Right? Coming from this kind of family background, you want to strive to make sure you can be an example to your siblings, and then at the same time, you want to make sure you can when you grow up, somehow help your family with alleviate the financial burden and so on. You are bound to meet with this kind of responses. People are not actually genuinely helping me. So that was my experience. Okay, and from that moment of time, I decided that education can really change my life. Even with the experiences that I have with that 2 general answers that I usually receive, I decided to still believe that education can and will change my life. So how do I do? Specific actions as to take to realize. Obviously, I took the wrong approach. I asked the right people, but came out with the wrong answer. I don't think I gave up at that moment, so I continue finding, right? So I was still in 3A when I was in Form 3. The lady that I talk about, she was still in 3B, the second class. So continue applying that action. It puts me in the A class. So I score a flying colors in PMR as well, which is your PT3 at the moment. But the fact is, when I was still in 4A, she was in 4B, I went to the principal, decided that this time I have to, have the fate in my hand and I have to control the fate myself. I've been waiting for so many years in the end of the day. So I went to the principal room. I told him, Mr. Principal, can you put me in 4B? I think 4A is very stressful. He said, are you sure? I said, yes. And he said, fine. Tomorrow onwards, you go to 4B. I was really excited, but I pretend not to. The next day, I happily went in 4B. Hopefully, I can see her. I saw her outside. I saw her passing by outside the class, entering a class, but she entered 4A. Okay. It was quite disappointing, but I decided that was also the time I should fully focus on the study itself. Kind of a sad story, Just to tell you, we share the same primary school, we share the same secondary school, we share the same matriculation, we share the same university, but we never dated each other. But in fact, earlier this year, I just got married to a wife, which I believe she is also listening at the moment. Coming back. So what are the specific action that I have taken in order to make sure I realized my strength when it comes to study? In university, I have two best friends, a guy and a girl. They were both dating each other. The guy was really, really smart, really, really smart. He has the photographic memory, the type of students where he look at the book and he'll remember. And when he goes to exam, he'll write the exact same answer and he scores. Genius. Well, on the other hand, the girlfriend, not too bad. It's an average students, but effort has to come in. Effort has to come in massively in order for her to score better. So one of these days, this girlfriend of mine, she decided that since the boyfriend is so smart, I think the method must be right. Right? Let me do an experiment. That's her. Let me do an experiment. So what experiment she did? She decided to follow exactly the study technique that the boyfriend did. What does it mean? After lecture, just like all of you about the experience, after lecture, sometimes end at 4, sometimes end at 5, dinner and doing laundry and so on. When the boy started studying at 8 o'clock, she will start studying at 8 o'clock. When the boy is not studying, she will not study. When the boy flip a page, she will flip a page. When the boy take a coffee break, she will take a coffee break. When the boy finished with study, even though she didn't understand yet, she will stop studying as well. And guess what? By the end of the term, when it comes out, the boy still score great, dean list. What happened to the girl? The girl used to be scored between A and B. For that particular term itself or semester itself, she almost flung out the subjects. We've been taking a lot of, what I'm trying to tell you here is myself, I've been taking some actions here, and my friends have been taking some actions there. So learning from all of our actions, I started realizing one thing. One thing is that if you try to copy blindly the study technique which is available out there, whether it's in the form of internet resources or in the book or YouTube video, like the one that we are talking about here, if you blindly copied it without first understanding your true self, things might not become effective, because believe it or not, all of us are different the way we are. If you believe the fact that all of us are unique and different the way we are, when it comes to doing whatever in life, in this case, study, don't you think it makes sense to first understanding ourselves first? This is why we want to focus on the you part first. So, with the belief that education can really change my life, which I still believe, and with the experience in secondary and tertiary school education, what prompted me to the next level is that what it happened, what do you do, what means, what do you do, and the results of why. So with that belief, with the specific action taken, and also learning from the mistakes that either I made myself or my friends made, I made a conclusion that that was why the PhD, the program was offered to me by the lecturer. And that, I believe, it's also why you see the results just now that I've shared with you. It is very important to understand ourselves. before we do anything. And this is what this session is all about. Okay? What you're going to do with this Saturday morning is you're going to spend the next 5 to 10 minutes time. You're going to write down your life philosophy. We don't need it to be too long. 50 words is enough. You can write it on a piece of paper. You can write it and tag your phone. You can write it in a computer if you're using one. But please word it down. Please write it down. So what are you going to write? For your life philosophy, you're going to write exactly 50 words. No more, no less, 50 words. Okay? This could be taken in any form that you want. It could be in statement. It could be in paragraph 1 to 2. It could be in bullet points. Okay, it could also be in a list of instruction. Like, for example, by the time of this, by this age, I want to achieve this. By this age, I wanted to do this. By this age, I want to do this. What are you going to do with your life? Yes, this is about study and you. But think about it for a second. What's the purpose of you studying? For the life, isn't it? To live a better life in the future, isn't it? Well, technically speaking, I should say to live your life, isn't it? So since it's about you and your life, does it make sense to say, let's spend the 10 minutes time off now, listing down what you truly want without worrying about how people would see you? Is it fair? I think it's really fair. Because without you setting this goal, how are you going to think you're going to realize it? I mean, by you setting the goal or the life philosophy that you want to design your life now, you have a higher chance to get it done or realized, right? So it could also be a core values or beliefs that you have. Like, for example, I believe education can change our life and can change a student's life, right? So what do I believe further in it? Is that I believe everyone is unique the way they are. We should find out the strength and tap into the strength. Yeah. So this session is about that. Or it could also be think about a book that has huge impact on you, on your life. And it could also be a powerful advice you have ever received in the past. Okay. So let's take the next 5 minutes to write this down. So I'm keeping a timer here. In case you heard a quack sound from a duck, then you know the time is up. But right now, I want you to connect with your own self, to write down something you really want to experience in your life, now and future. Worry not about how people will look at you. Don't worry about that. They have their life to take care of. You have yours to take care of. Think back when you were really young and when you were still a kid, what you truly wanted to be. And as you grow up, what has been stopping you? Write that down. It doesn't have to be in a perfect sentence form. Don't worry about the language. Don't worry about grammar. Just write down. The key about this exercise is you got to be genuine with yourself. Write down what your heart is saying, not your mind. Write all of them down. Do not worry about resources. Don't worry about how you're going to achieve that. Just write down the why. Three minutes left. Think about someone you admire the most. what characteristic he or she has. Is that the type of life that you want? If yes, then put it down. I don't mean to ask you to copy someone else's life. But in case if you're truly running out of ideas, don't know what you want to be, and never really think about this before, that could be a good starting point. Think about the person around you, your parents, your uncle, auntie, your supportive friends, the teachers, the lecturers, the one who hasn't known you much but has been doing a lot to make sure we bring out the best in you. The lyric of the music that you have heard, anything. As long as it touches your heart and inspires you, put that down. And make sure you have 50 words. We have 1.5 minutes left. Ten seconds. Please begin finishing up. Okay, the time is up. Thank you. Thank you so much for your work. And you're going to take this piece of paper or this note, you're going to put it aside as we move on. You'll be surprised how we find the what part. Because right now, you have put down your why. And with that why, the powerful guiding force, the one that I had with me is the education, right? The wake-up call that I have was the message that sent from UK. All you need to bother or worry about right now is whether or not you have the enough why, strong enough why. The rest of it will be covered in the following session, right? So let's move on. As we have talked about earlier, this session is about you and study. So therefore it's called Study and You. And right now we're going to focus on the you part, understanding yourself as in how we function as a human when it comes to learning. So as you can see under the you part, we're going to focus on the input, the process, and the save. What do I mean? Let's say this is a textbook. There are a lot of new information that I'm about to learn. I've never seen this before, right? I want to take this thing and input into my brain. How do we do that best, right? And once these things are in, how do we process it for retaining purpose? Okay, and then eventually, how do you save it for a long-term memory sake? So let's move on. Right, first part, we'll look at input. Since this session is about understanding yourself, let's understand how our brain works first. When I say that, I'm not saying in a generalized manner, because you are about to do something which we call dominant sense of learning test. So a link will be shared with you, and this link consists of a questionnaire. Let me show you. Kaniza.
Yes, who?
Kaniza, how do we share the link with the students here? Do I share the screen here, or?
Oh, you can share the link there. You can share the link there or not? Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'm seeing this one chat. So this is the link that you're gonna take. I'm sorry, hold on a second. Hold on a second. I don't think I can delete this. Use this instead. This one. Okay, learning style test. What about for the YouTube user? Are we going to have something for them as well?
Okay, I'll try to share there. Okay.
Thank you so much. Then I'll proceed with this. Okay, as you can see, when we click on this link, and it's leading us to a page where, thanks to this Personality Max, they are kind enough to have this test free for all the students here out there. Because if you were to do it yourself, probably there will be a charges somewhere here. So once you click on the link, you'll be able to see that you'll be led to this page where you have to make sure the learning style is ticked. Only learning style is ticked, right? And then you progress to the question here. So you're going to have 39 questions altogether, right? Please spend the next 5 minutes completing it. Please remember, there is no right, there's no wrong with whatever answers that you're going to choose. But please choose the answer that describes you the best. By the end of 39 questions, you'll be given a report. So let me try to do it live here together with all of you. So let's get our duck assistant back here. 5 minutes. Don't think too much. Just pick the first answer that sounds true to you. Don't think too much. This is not an exam, so you wouldn't be graded here. Just make sure your answer to your heart content. Make sure it sounds true to you. For those who have done or about to finish, just put in your name here. Okay. And then when you click on show report, you're going to have a very detailed report showing you what's your strength and so on. There's another 1.5 minutes. So let's wait for our friends here. Right, 1 minute is up. Do not worry if you haven't finished so, because you can always save this link and try it again in the afternoon or not tomorrow or anytime when you are free, right? So let's look at the report right now. I have mine shown on the screen right here. Well, first thing, this report is about you. Feel free to share with your friends or your lecturers, because when they know your style, they can accommodate their teaching to your preferred learning styles here better. This is what we usually do in Springate. Every beginning of the term, we would always do this with our students to see whether their profile changes. So you can click save to save your report, or alternately you can just save the link over here, because this report is all about you. Let's take a look at mine. Well, as you can see, there's a chart here showing me that my visual is dominant sense, which means I'm a picture person. When I reflected back, whether in terms of memorizing people's faces or the textbook facts or remembering roads, right? What comes first in my mind would always be picture. To an extent, when it comes to people's name, it is always the picture that comes up, is the alphabet. So comparing to auditory and kinesthetic, I would know the next time if I were to learn something new, the best for me is spend some time understanding what is it trying to talk about and then turn it into a picture. Once I have the picture, I'll remember it very, very well compared to auditory and kinesthetic. So below here, it will tell you the description about what learning style is all about, right? What kind of visual learning, what kind of learning is suitable for you. Mine is more unsuitable. right? Sorry, mine is more on the visual. So as you can see, visual is my primary learning style. Then you will see these are the characteristics. Once you get the results, you can look at the characteristic to confirm further whether or not you are the type of learners, right? If it is auditory, you will see the characteristic at the bottom as well and the suggested action. This is the characteristic on the left, and on the right you will see what's your preference. For those who are auditory learner, probably you prefer to sit in the front row. That's where you can listen better. Okay, sometimes you would even want to listen to the music while doing something. Maybe that's you. Yeah, and kinesthetic is those who prefer to work on something to learn. And when they can put their hands on that things to learn, they'll find themselves learning much better. Okay, and more information is available at the bottom. So feel free to take a look after this session. But I hope now that all of you would know at least what is it your strength is, right? So let's go back to the slide. Okay, this hold on a second, the cursor is missing, so I need to close this. Right, it's beautiful. Right, as you can see, all of us are, as a human, we're blessed with 5 senses. You have sight, you have touch, you have hearing, you have taste, and then you have so on. So these are the ways that external stimulants, the things that are around us, get into something called brain here. The gray matter lies between our ears. Usually, in school setup, these informations will get into our brain predominantly using visual, which is sight, touch, which is kinesthetic, hearing, which is auditory. The rest of it are not so much. I'm talking about we don't taste much in school, right? I mean, you don't taste a textbook. Who tastes the textbook? Maybe there are some, but usually we would use the VAK, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. So if you so happen to be a visual learner, what are you suggested to do? Take a look at this. At the bottom, you will see another characteristic as well. You tend to be a fast talker. If you notice, I think I am a fast talker here. So it's sort of confirmed with the visual learner's capacity over there. And you'll learn and by seeing charts and diagrams and picture better. When you study, you tend to require a quiet environment. When you think in terms of pictures. When you take notes, you take a very detailed note. Why? So that your picture, your imagination can come up vividly. And obviously, these kind of students would like to sit in front of the class as well so that they can capture how the lecturer moves the hand gesture, the notes on the whiteboard, and so on. Yeah. So the learning suggestion is on the right. You can take a look at them. Drawing is one of the best things that you can help you. Well, if you think your drawing is not as good as you want, stickman is good enough. If a stickman is challenging for you, that's fine. Color will help visual learners as well. Just get some highlighter, make it colorful enough. Later on, I will show you some notes about colorful notes. Okay, just make sure it is visually attractive. Believe it or not, if you are a visual learner, which I believe most of the students are predominantly visual driven, once you have this picture in your mind, when you close your eyes, this picture will somehow reappear in your mind. If that's the case, you are a visual learner. So when it comes to learning new things, try as much as possible, tap into this part of your strength. Next, if you so happen to be an auditory learner, I believe you are currently just listening to me without actually watching on the screen, because that's when you learn best. I had a student in the past where he would just sit at the back of the class and just listen. He just listen. He don't really watch you. He just don't really look at you, but he always listen and ends up he's a straight A student, straight A star student. So tap into your right strength is really crucial over here. So for those who are auditory learners, you tend to speak a little slowly. You explain things very well, and people love hanging out with you because you tend to be a very good listener. But as a case here, for auditory learners, you tend to repeat things more than other people, but nothing wrong with that. You think in a very logical and linear way. You tend to read really slowly. You tend to listen rather than do the talking. Yeah. So if you're this type of students, thanks to the technology, sometimes as I am talking to you here, if I so happen to be an auditory learner, let's say I'm reading a book, right? If I am auditory, I can read it for myself, right? If it is too disturbing or you want to save some time, the next time is you can use some application, take some photo and convert it to app, convert it to audio, and then you can just listen to your textbook, listen to the text. Maybe that would require you to get a PDF version of the textbook. But what am I trying to say over here is you listen and register well. Use that. Find a way to tap into that. Another simple way is you can engage yourself in a discussion, in a group discussion. Just make sure you don't get, led away by talking about something else. Make sure it's only study. So if you happen to be a kinesthetic learner, you are the type of student who will learn much better through doing or physically experimenting something. So you would be the slowest talker of all. These are the type of students when you are having something new. Let's say all of us are very fancy with online shopping right now. When a new parcel, is sent to your house and you need to assemble it, you will realize this type of people, they will love, just open it up, throw the manual all the side, all way, and you start doing it without actually looking at anything. You will figure out what part which have fixed with which part. In that case, you are a kinesthetic learner. So probably taking a field trip or studying with others or doing experiment will help you. But pay attention to this. Unlike the other two, the attention span for kinesthetic learner probably is the shortest of all. So if you are the one who's kinesthetic learner and you are studying together with either auditory or visual learner, please make sure you take a short break in between. Make your study block shorter. Yeah, because if you're sitting next to someone who's a visual learner, they can sit there forever, literally. You can't. Well, technically you can, but as you progress 20 minutes down the road, your attention started moving elsewhere already. So stand up, do something else, quickly come back, you'll find yourself a good learner again. I mean, in the end of the day, attention is what matters, not time. Spend the time only when you have the quality. Otherwise, you are sitting down there producing nothing but wasting time. So watch out this part for the kinesthetic learner. Right. Now you know how information goes into our brain, which is, we talked about the input part already. Next, how do we process? How do we process what we have already input into our brain? According to Dr. Howard Gardner from Harvard University, students, not only students, all of us possesses different kinds of mind. Therefore, we learn, remember, perform, and understanding in a totally different way. We talk about each individual is unique the way we are. If you have a certain preference towards imparting the knowledge, we would have a different preference when it comes to processing the knowledge as well. So, do you know how you process the information? Let's do another test. Okay, this test is all about you. So do it at your own pace. But for the sake of this seminar, we would do it within 8 minutes time. Okay, so this multiple intelligence is designed by Dr. Howard Gardner. It has all these 8 to 9 different intelligence that one possesses. Okay, find out what's yours, and then you realize why is it when it comes to this aspect of life, you do much better than the others. Okay, for example, I don't think I'm a really good sports person, right? Looking at all this thing, my bodily and kinesthetic probably won't be the highest score. As since I am a visual person, I think my special will be great. So what about yours? Let's do the test. I would share the link here in Zoom with all of you. And I have already shared the link for this multiple intelligence test in the YouTube below the comment area. with the viewers already. So feel free to take a look at that and start doing the test. Okay, I want to go to Zoom chat. Here is the multiple intelligence test link. Click on it. I will do it here as well. Okay, technically this is my, whoops. Okay, technically this is the multiple intelligence test link. When I click on, okay, as usual, just like previously, make sure only multiple intelligence test is ticked. Okay, feel free to do other tests later after this session. Now we're going to focus on how our brain processes information. So check the box for multiple intelligence, and you're going to have 80 questions altogether. This time around, you're going to speed it up a little, read it, choose the answer that comes with your first instinct. Yeah. Let's bring on our duck assistant. Six minutes left. 4 minutes left. Pace yourself accordingly. Two minutes. For those who have done, you can key in your first name and the last name, and then you click show report. One minute left. All right, time is up. Okay, for those who have done, congratulations. For those who have not done, you can try to finish it if it is only a few questions left. And for those who are still far away from finishing it, you can do it later because you can save the link and the link would always be here. Yeah, don't worry about finishing it because the session that we're trying to spend over here is to understand ourselves. So no point finish it for the sake of finishing. Yeah, so I've done mine already and here's my report. Let's scroll down. Right, as you can see at the bottom here, right, your top intelligences are intrapersonal and logical. Well, it turns out that in the first test, which shown my visual was my dominant strength, right? It comes out not the first here, which is not a surprise thing because we tend to have higher and better innate strength, which is in us, but we are yet to discover. And that's why we dedicate the session here to find out more about yourself. In particular, what are your strengths? Now let's look at that. I have intrapersonal as my highest, logical second, naturalist, I love plants, visual the fourth, musical, linguistic, intrapersonal, and kinesthetic. So looking at that, just the first four itself, except for naturalist, what I meant is the intrapersonal, the logical, and the visual. I guess this is why I can do well in school, right? Because the school environment taps into this strength. However, if yours is not, fret not, we have solution for you. So before we move back to the slide, this is basically a ranking from the highest to the lowest based on your intelligence. And to know that it changes from time to time, okay? Even though it doesn't change much, if you do it this year and then probably next 5 years, you will see a change here. My naturalist was somewhere at the back when I first started with IUVN, I think 5 or 6 years ago. Right here at the bottom, this report is much more longer compared with the previous one. Well, as you can see, you have this breakdown chart, the pie chart on the right, and then it explained to you the background of multiple intelligences, right? And then there's a ranking between the people, among the people that have taken this run, that you notice, well, your intrapersonal intelligence is way higher than the average people out there. I'll tell you what intrapersonal is all about later. Yeah. So let's just go through how this report is being structured. Okay, what is it about intrapersonal intelligence? What are the characteristics? And even possible career suggestion here. You see, entrepreneur, farmer, historians, and logical was my second. Mathematics is highest. Then you can see there's an average between male and female and your score, right? Obviously, you have the characteristic and possible career as well. So these are all suggestions, yeah? Do not take it too seriously at this stage. What I mean is the purpose is we have to use this information to understand ourselves. We don't take it like, oh, my first one is intrapersonal. Then the first possible career suggestion is entrepreneur. I'm going to do that. No. Okay. Think about it. Take it as a chance for you to know yourself better. Okay. So you can read the rest of the report when you're done with your test. So let's go back to the slide. So here's a slide that we have. Okay. A few years ago, the multiple intelligence was only consist of 8 types. But recently, Dr. Howard come up with another type, which is on our lower right, existential. Yeah, we'll cover that next. Look, for those who are blessed with musical intelligence, like what we have with Ludwig Beethoven, it comes really natural for you when it comes to recognition of tonal or rhythmic pattern. You appreciate the use of sound, you understand it very well. Okay. To be very honest, not every student is very academic driven. I think it is not the case of all of you, because otherwise you wouldn't be here. I do have a not so academic driven students, and she is very talented when it comes to music. Yeah. So guess what? She's in UCSI, almost finishing her degree in I think classical music. So that's always a way for you. Find out what is your strength. For those who are really musical person, you tend to understand very well between the relationship of sound and feelings. Yeah, so that's musical. There's a lot of career talking about musical. We can always explore that, right? And we can always find a way to how to use the musical part in study as well. For example, you heard of chemistry for sure. And there is this periodic table for sure. I know you know. And do you know that there's a song for periodic table? There's a song for periodic table in YouTube. Don't check it now, check it later, check it out later. But if you somehow or other you need to memorize something, turn it into a music form, it helps you. Yeah. So that's how you tap into the strength if you are a musical person. Next. If you are visual, great. We talked about visual just now. It is what the strength of Walt Disney is having. Right? He has a lot of pictures in his mind. Guess what? So many years back, who will ever think that a mouse The one that runs on a street and people would always escape when they see this can become such a great cartoon, well known by almost all the children in the world. Imagination, the visual and the spatial strength. If you have that one, tap into that, leverage on that for your study, because you tend to understand the relationship between image and significance of space and effect better than other people. Tap into that. Yeah. Next, we have verbal, linguistic, someone who are really, really good with words, like J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter, right? Speaks and write really well. They always have excellent interpretation of ideas as well as languages. So if you have that, I'm pretty sure your English or the languages subject that you are pursuing in school would definitely be really good. Yeah, if that is natural for you, what I think you can be a natural leader, speaker as well, then you can involve yourself in a discussion. You can help making other people understand better. You know what? When I suggested this, I'm trying to tell you that sometimes one of the best way to learn is when you start teaching. If you have this and as your strength, do consider finding someone who's willing to learn from you. And as you start teaching others using your verbal strength, you will notice what else you don't know. It's really wonderful experience, which is why I take this as an opportunity for me to practice as well to see what else I can improve as a person. Verbal strength. Next, logical mathematical. I think it is very obvious. You understand the cause and effect very well before and after, the cause and effect. You're good in detecting pattern. So for those who are really good with this, I think your science and mathematics, it's like a piece of cake for you, because you tend to have a strong analytical and a very good reasoning skills. If you are not this kind of person, you can always find a friend who is really good in logical, get them to explain things to you. Tap into other people's strength, may be your strength as well. We would cover that next. I guess we don't have to talk about this. Lionel Messi, everybody knows that. They have excellent body coordination and they're really good physically in terms of agility and balance. How do we use it here in study? Well, when I was in primary school, because in preparation for UPSR, there's this I used to think that she is very crazy, but I now thank her more than anybody else, is that she always asks us to memorize one essay one day. So that means in a week, we have 5 essays for dictation. Memorize one night, tonight, tomorrow morning, first thing, go to school, write it down. One mistake, one pen on the hand. So I am not good with my memory. What do? There's a method that my friend taught me. As you memorize, you move, you walk, you pace yourself. It works, it helps. Always carry 1 or 2 ideas in your mind that you want to understand or you want to memorize with you as you walk on anywhere. But make sure it is not during driving or anything that required full attention. As in when you walk to the washroom or you're trying to open the door and you're taking a walk out the garden, right? Take something and put it in your mind as you walk through, think about it, process it, memorize it. It helps. Who knows? Interpersonal. These kind of people, they're really good with people to people, right? I believe this is one of the strengths of Katniza. She's really good when it comes to people skill, right? And she would always be able to relate to others very, very well. And her ability to interpret behaviors in communication is excellent, incomparable. And of course, the foundation is that it is somehow blessed to them that they understand the people and people relationship naturally. So if you are this kind of person, consider tap into that, forming a study group, getting people's help. It's always the easiest thing to you. Yeah. Interpersonal. What about intrapersonal? Intrapersonal is inward. If interpersonal is outward with other people, intrapersonal is with yourself. You're always able to understand yourself, whether in terms of emotion or what is it that you do certain thing. You understand your relationship with others as well as the world. Don't be surprised if this will help you with your study as well. Because if this is your strength, you can easily figure out what subjects you like, what subjects you don't. which time is best for you to study and which time is not. Okay, and we're almost coming to an end already. If you are a naturalistic, which is you have a sense of favoritism towards plants and nature, do consider set up your environment of study somewhere with plants, or probably studying in the garden if the environment and the situation permits future. Yeah, like what Charles Darwin his strength is. You guys know what Charles Darwin is famous with? Natural selection, right? He has the ability to go, he went to the top of the mountain, he saw some fish bone there, and immediately he started thinking, oh, this place was once the bottom of an ocean. But because of tectonic shift and all these geographical reasons, the sea water somehow goes somewhere else, and this plate tend to move up and becomes a mountain. So there's always a strength, regardless of what kind of intelligence you have. Lastly, existential. You always seek to find out the deeper meaning in instruction and all the things, and you tend to connect the idea across the curriculum better, which means you are a big picture person. You always want to find out what's the meaning behind certain thing, right? In that case, if you are sort of existential driven in terms of intelligence, it makes it more meaningful for you to study, because you would know better what you study and why you study what you're studying. Yeah. Right. We have done talking about how we process information. So how do we save it? How do we save it for long-term memory? Because for those who study now and forget next week, this is the biggest concern. I mean, you don't want your effort to just go wasted because you've been putting a lot of effort trying to figure out what's the best to put in and what's the best to process. And in the end, if you couldn't save it, what's the point? Right. The truth is, if you focus on the input correctly and the process correctly, it is almost very hard for you not to remember things, because you're already tapping into your strength. Something that comes so natural to you, memorizing it or remembering it should not be a problem at all. Yeah. So we have done about the U session here, where we talk about personalized learning in terms of how do we take information in, input, how do we process it through your multiple intelligence, and how do we retain the information for a longer sake. So in the next session, we're going to talk about the study part. But before that, I think I need to pass the floor back to Kak Niza.
Okay, Fu.
Thank you.
Okay, student. We are going to have some break. Okay. So now is 10:33 a.m. So we will be back 20 minutes. Okay, Fu? Can we break 20 minutes? Okay. Okay. We will be back 10:50.
Sure, no problem.
55. Okay. Okay. See you later. Okay.
See you later. Enjoy your break.
Enjoy your break, everyone. Okay. Okay, I think we can start again, Mr. Hu?
Sure, no problem. My
Okay,
pleasure.
welcome back, students. So we have another 1.5 hour, and please, I have to remind you, take this opportunity to ask Mr. Fu at the end of the session, because I don't know when we can call Mr. Fu again, but for sure, lecturer will call him after this. Okay, so Fu, this is again for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kanisa. Right. Welcome back to all of you. It's been a pleasure just now for the morning session. I think we're going to have a better version this time around. So since all of us just came back from a short break, let's do something different this time around. And as you can see, we've done the you part in the morning, understanding ourselves better in terms of our strength, the dominant intelligence, as well as what is your why, the big why of life. Right. I think we have quite a bit of participants here in Zoom, as well as those who are viewing through YouTube. So for those who are viewing through YouTube, the next session, I would hope if you can just comment at a comment column below, yeah? Right, for those who are here, I'll suggest if it is possible, unmute yourself and try to tell me the answer, because we're going to do some quizzes here, right? Don't worry, nothing to do with examination and anything. So here on the screen, you have an aeroplane flying in the sky. And inside this aeroplane, carrying with it 1,000 pieces of brick, right? The brick that you use to make houses, it carries 1,000 pieces inside the airplane itself. So can anybody tell me, if one brick fell, how many bricks left inside the airplane? Anybody? Any takers? I tried this question with some of my students yesterday. They were really hesitant because when it comes to questions like this, they always think there's a trap. What about all of you? What do you think the answer is? 1,000 pieces of bricks in the plane, one fell. How many left in the plane?
999.
999. Thank you so much, Javi. Thank you very much.
Yes.
That's the correct attempt. What kind of questions are you trying to ask, Mr. Fu? Don't worry. Next. How many steps are there to put a giraffe into a fridge? Any taker?
3. Open the door, put him in, and close the door.
Right. You must have heard this before, or you are born an intelligent person. Thank you so much. 3 steps. Open the fridge, door, put it in, close the door. Next. How many steps are there to put an elephant inside?
Open the fridge.
Open the fridge.
The giraffe.
Take out the giraffe.
Put the elephant and close the door.
Oh my God. No wonder all of you are here. Never mind. We have a tougher one coming out. In the jungle, it so happened that today is the Lion King's birthday. So, you know, being the king, his birthday is here, right? So he sent out an invitation to all the animals, creatures, insects, and whatever that is to attend his birthday. And there's one animal who has the guts not to attend the king's birthday. What animal do you think that is?
It's an elephant.
Yeah,
Elephant.
because
How do you know?
he's in the fridge.
Because he's in the fridge.
He's still stuck in
Yeah.
the poor
Yeah, he's in the
guy.
fridge. Nobody opened that. Poor guy. He got stuck there. Smart, smart. No worry, I still have some more. Well, inside the forest, it so happened that there's a river, right, filled with crocodile, and there's a bridge over, across that river itself. So every time when any animals like trying to pass by the bridge, the crocodile will jump up and bite. Monkey pass by, crocodile jump up, bite. Chicken pass by. I don't know why there's a chicken inside the forest, but chicken pass by and crocodile jump out and bite. So there's this old woman, old grandmother, walk really slowly, right, with the tongkat here. So with a stick here. So she crossed the bridge and she started walking on the bridge. And surprisingly, she was very saved. No crocodile jump out and bite her. What happened?
They go
They
to
went to the
the
birthday party.
Ayah, semua
yeah.
tahu jawapan dah. Tak challenging pun kan. Apa soalan ni kan? Don't worry, we still have one. But as soon as the grandmother reached the other side of the river, she died on the spot. How come?
Because she was hit by the batu-batu yang the airplane
To
broke
break. Oh wow.
from the air.
Semua ada jawapan betul ni. Tak boleh lah, next time saya kena tukar soalan dah. Right. Okay. But I think, well, congratulations to all of you and thank you as well for getting all the correct answer. 0 mistake. Oh my God, look at that. But do you know, all of these questions, the answer has a meaning behind it. Now let's take a look. The aeroplane. All of us, right, when it comes to learning, sometimes we're being daunted by what we have seen in a book. Why? Because when you pick a book, whatever subject that is, when you flip on, you will see this glossary, you will see the terms that they use, like very tough, you haven't seen before. You can read it, but understanding doesn't kick in. I would have to tell you the fact that, you see, I can tell you this. Back in 2017, you know, I published a book before. So when I was still in my apprentice of trying to, work in a private school, work in a tuition center, work as a private tutor, right? So when I continue working that way, one day I received a call and it was from a publisher, a local publisher, Sasbadi, if not mistaken. So she called me up and asked, Fu, we were referred by your publisher and say that you published a book before. Are you interested to come and join our meeting about the book publishing from Sasbadi? I said, sure, no harm finding out. So I went to the briefing, a meeting that I had in Hotel Flamingo, somewhere around Ampang. So it was a session actually organized by MOE, Ministry of Education Malaysia. So what was that session about? They actually asked, they were doing a briefing of changing the textbook for the national syllabus. So if you all recall, there was a change of textbook somewhere around 2018 or 19, where the textbook of Form 1, Form 2, and Form 3 were changed totally. So that prior to that, they were already discussing how to bring, the Form 3 level of stuff, the things that you're going to learn in Form 3, down to Form 1. So they need somebody to rewrite the textbook for them. So I so happened to be one of them. But because I got my goal and my target to focus on, writing a book isn't, aligned with what I wanted to do. Therefore, I rejected already. But I can tell you one thing. From that experience of publishing a book and almost publishing another textbook, is that most of the time, the book consists of a lot of jargons, the technical term that is designed not to help understanding. I am so sorry for saying this. Let me repeat myself. Most of the time when it comes to a book, except for storybook for kids, I'm talking about the academic book that you're currently having for whatever subjects or courses that you're currently having. When you flip open them, that book, to be very frank, from my personal opinion, is that it's not written for students' understanding. Because think about this from students' perspective. Now, there's a reason they do this. With all due respect, there's a reason publisher, they do this. Because this is usually the jargon, the technical terms that they use when it comes to this field. I came from an engineering background. So when it comes to subjects like thermodynamics and so on, they need to use that term because that term is what they use in the field, in the industry. The people out there, they know when you speak this language. But for us, engineering students, and you, the course that you're currently taking, you flip open the book, Introduction to Thermodynamic, whatever that is, right? Electrical engineering, when you flip open, you look at the terms. Oh my God, what does that mean? So what do I try to tell you here is, it's very easy. For our job is, when we take that book, when we read, do not get intimidated by the word that they use. Instead, change it another way, in a much more simpler way that you can understand. When it comes to training for either for our students or the teachers my teachers, I always tell them, once you understand something before you start to teach someone, do you think you can take this and try to tell a 3-year-old kid? If a 3-year-old kid can somehow understand what you are trying to talk about, that means you know what you're talking. Example. How many of you had heard of the Theory of Relativity? Sounds familiar by someone. Yeah, by Albert Einstein. Yeah. So if you haven't heard of what Theory of Relativity is, well, you can Google for the definition. So I'm not here to produce the definition because Google is doing a good job. But I'm pretty sure when you look at the Google definition, it cracks your head a little because you're smart enough. It cracks the head a little trying to find out what's the meaning. But what if I can tell you there's an example for you to understand Theory of Relativity within the next 1 minute? Think about this. This is how you would explain the Theory of Relativity to a 3-year-old kid. And you got to make sure the 3-year-old kid understands you. So everybody goes to the toilet. Not now. I mean, I'm just having an example, okay? So let's say, all of us, we would use the bathroom. So what Theory of the Relativity is talking about? Let's just say someone is having a stomach pain. Now, if you are the one outside the toilet where somebody is inside, there's no any other toilet that you can use, you are the one having stomach pain and you wanted to go in so badly, how's 1 minute sounds to you? Long or short? I guess it's long. Same situation, but now switch. You are the one who is having stomach pain, but you are inside the toilet. Somebody else come and bang the door. Do you think your 1 minute inside the toilet is long or short? I guess it's short. Technically, 1 minute, which is 60 seconds, it's same numerically, whether it's outside or inside. But somehow, for those who are outside waiting to go in, they feel it's eternity. But for those who are inside, they feel it's really short. Can you just wait for another minute? That is relativity, comparison. Okay? So I'm trying to tell you, if you can find a way to use metaphor or any other way to interpret what is going to happen in the textbook itself, you will notice learning is actually very simple. Seriously, no joke. Yeah. Just like 1000 minus 1, it is 999. When you try to give this question to some other students, like yesterday when I tried it, I gave it to the student, he said, teacher, cannot, when you open the door, right, all the bricks will start following and it will fall also. Right, hey, teacher cannot open the door, the aeroplane will lose balance and will crash. We have a tendency of complicated things. Watch out that tendency. Once you're aware of that, you'll realize learning is fundamentally easy. Yeah, next. Logical thinking. Thanks to all of you. Hopefully, not because you have the answer before, but then for those who experienced the question very first time, if you have the thinking of, how do I put a giraffe in a fridge? Do I need to chop off the neck or, you know, order a bigger fridge? Sometimes, remember we talked about perspective thinking? Sometimes our thought is too limiting. There's a bigger fridge, don't worry about that. Or perhaps we are talking about small giraffe. Okay, use the right thinking at the right place. And here we're talking about logical thinking. Next, elephant inside the fridge. Well, giraffe was inside already. One thing that I got to tell all of you right now, right before you start your lecture with your lecturers and so on, is that one of the dangerous things that I noticed about students getting into university, because all of you come from different backgrounds, you know, different places, different teachers taught you different things, but using the same textbook, so you have different understanding. And when you gather together, listening to one lecturer trying to teach you something really important, all of us would be having the idea like, honestly speaking, I was a student also, so I'm just speaking from the capacity of an ex-student. Yeah? Betul ke? Macam tak betul je. Tak faham lah. So all this kind of thing would tend to bother us. Why? Because we have been getting used to a way of understanding something. Meaning, when we come in, you know, to a lessons, even in this talk itself, we're coming in not empty. When it is not empty, how do you put another elephant in? I mean, if I have the most wonderful idea in the world that I wanted to share with you, if the fridge is not empty, you can't even put a rabbit inside. Empty your mind. Yeah. You don't have to tell people, okay, I'm emptying my mind right now, okay, ready to impart me. You don't have to do that. All I'm trying to invite you to do is the next time when you are exposed to new ideas, which you're going to experience very soon, do empty your mind before you get into any lectures. Rest assured, you will learn something more. Because you know what? The lecturers are there in their position and still in their position for only one reason. They know the stuff. Move on. King's Party. I'm glad that you know and remember the purpose. The purpose I'm talking about here is that the ability to relate that the elephant is still inside the fridge. Okay, none of the knowledge in the world is a standalone knowledge. Let me repeat that. None of the knowledge in the world is a standalone knowledge. They're all somehow related, governed by a fundamental principle. So you got to think, right? Do this extra effort. Your lecturers is going to do definitely a good job in educating and bring out the best in all of you already. But I suggest you now, as a mature learner, evolving into an expert learner right now in the university and colleges, do this yourself a favor, right? For whatever you have learned, you learn this and you learn this, find a way to connect them, find a way to link them, right? Nothing is standalone. Everything is connected. Just like the quiz question. The first question is connected to the last question. The grandma is hit by the first brick, fell from the plane. After we've been talking so long, the brick was still falling until it lands on the grandmother's head. Yeah. Relate the stuff. Next. Revision. Well, we talk about elephant still caught in the fridge. Now we revisit the idea that they are still having a party again. So obviously, when you get this question correct, remembering elephant couldn't make it because it's still in the fridge, then it shouldn't be a problem of you understand or answering this question correctly. Because you just been reminded about the elephant couldn't make it because there's a party, then you will know party is what caused the crocodile to not be in the river. Right? Later on, I will show you why revision is very important, and I'll provide you a solution about that. Next, application of knowledge. Now you learn about the brick already. How do you apply the brick? Or whatever you're going to learn or you have learned already in the past, are you using it? That's another question. For the sake that if you are a kinesthetic learner from the first test, chances are if you apply it to your daily life, you'll remember it better. So the question goes back to, have you applied it? Now, whether you apply it on the homework, the test, or in real life, it's also a form of application, which includes, are you using what you have learned to teach your friends? That is application as well. Yeah, which is why I believe in throughout the semester that you're gonna spend together with your friends, you'll be giving coursework, projects, presentations, thesis, viva, all this is a chance for you to apply the knowledge that you have gained. Yeah, make sure you grab that opportunity. Again, these projects given for a reason. Yeah. So this is just a warm up for all of you. And next, we're gonna play a game together. I love playing this. How I wish this is a physical session. It will be much more fun that I get to see all of you. So, what am I? So, what am I? It is a yes or no question game, right? For all of you here, we're going to later select or have you volunteered as one player at a time, and then the rest of us will be askers. Askers means we're going to ask that player some questions, right? And from the process of the answer that you get from the askers, from the players, then you're going to guess what that person is. So meaning, for those who volunteered later as a player, you're going to think about something in your brain. Okay, we'll think about that, right? Then the rest of the asker will start asking, are you this? Are you that? Are you this? Are you that? From the yes, no, we try to guess what is that person's holding in his mind or her mind. So we would see how many questions you ask to get the right answer. We try to set it around 10 questions, but I think you don't need 10 questions though. Yeah. And to make sure we reward those who asked the right questions, right question means it is not a very generic or simple questions. That means the questions you've thought through, right? For those who get the answer yes for the askers, you get another chance to ask one more questions until it is a no. So clear? Clear? Like these are the following questions that you may consider asking, right? Let's say we have a volunteer ready and you can ask, right? My name is Fu. My first question is, are you an object or a person? You can't say, are you an object or a person? You can't ask this because the volunteer can only answer yes, no, right? For those who are being volunteer, you can only answer yes, no. You can't say, actually, I'm an object. No, your only answer is yes or no. So you got to be precise with the questions. So are you an object? No, then move on to the next askers, right? So these are so on. So for volunteers, it could be anything that you imagine in your mind, anything. It could be an object, live object or non-live object. It could be even like sound wave. Okay, anything. So we're gonna see how well our friends practice their questioning skill. For those who ever tried this, by asking pocket money from your parents, I think you know how to ask the right questions to get the money, or in a free time to play games. Somehow you are home trained. I believe so. So, do we have any volunteer? Do we have any volunteer to be the
Norjana? Norjana want to be the volunteer, I think.
Oh, hi. Rajana, would you please unmute yourself? I see a hand raised up, but in case you are talking, could you please unmute yourself? Rojana, can't see the name from my side. Are you there, Rojana?
Yes.
Right, right. Hello. Can you do a bit of introduction about yourself so that your friends would know how to call you? How do we name you?
Well, you can call me Jana.
Jana. Hi, Jana. Nice meeting you. So,
Hi.
do you already have something in your mind now?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Excellent. Hold that thought to you. From now on, you can only answer yes or no. Is that okay?
Okay.
Oops. You should only answer yes or no. Right. So, okay.
Yes.
Excellent. Right. So we have Jana up already. So do we have any askers? Anyone? Right, go ahead. What's your name?
Harit.
Harit. Hi, Harit. Nice
Hi.
meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
What's the question?
First time playing. Do you have gender?
Yes.
Good. Next question, Harit.
Are you an animal?
No.
Oops. Good try. Thank you, Harit.
Welcome.
Can we have next asker? Right. So, Ashmira.
Yes.
Unmute yourself. Hi. Hello.
Hi.
What's the question?
Do you have a career?
Yes.
One more question for you.
Are you now a student?
No.
Sorry, what's your question? Are you a student, is it?
Yes.
Right, so he's not a student. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mira. So do we have the next asker? Right, and do I pronounce it correctly? CD?
Yeah, me.
Hello, CD. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Right, so you have questions?
Yeah. Okay. Do you have salary?
Yes.
Ooh, another question for you, CD.
Is your salary high?
Yes.
Whoa, another question for you, CD. By any chance, when you already think you know what that person is thinking, you can straight away ask, are you thinking about this or this? Yeah.
Are you thinking about having a very good career?
Yes.
Is that your answer?
Yes.
The final answer you have in your thoughts, is it?
Yes.
Oh my
Correct.
God. Excellent job, CD. Well, obviously, CD didn't do it alone. Congratulations to all of those who have already attempted. You see, asking the right question helps not only yourself, but the other as well. So thank you, CD. But by the way, do you have any questions you wanted to ask? Like anything?
Any question to you?
Sure.
Actually, I don't prepare for this, but I will just ask spontaneously. You think, okay, I have the problem of learning in English.
Mm-mm.
So whenever my lecturer talk, I cannot understand it pretty well because I'm not used in learning in English. So how you think I can solve this problem?
Right. Thank you so much. In fact, first of all, I wanted to say you speak pretty well. Congratulations on that. Maybe it is just that you have a very high expectation towards yourself and you wanted to speak as fluent as someone you have in mind. But I wanted to tell you, you're on the right track, not because you're asking me, but you are. The way you ask the question seems like you want to be better version of yourself compared to the current one. So let me tell you this. I came from a Chinese school, from a Chinese race family. I speak no English in the past. When I was in secondary school, I couldn't even speak proper English. When I was in matriculation in Johor, I couldn't speak proper English. When I was in university, I couldn't speak proper English because for the fact that engineering was taught in Malay. So how do I survive? Technically, I didn't survive. I finished my viva and presentation with hard work, right? I trained the slang and so on, yet I made it. I wasn't speaking like this before. Not until I was thrown in a ship. There were 54 of us and I was the only Asian. So on board, on the ship itself, we have Croatian, American, British, and a lot of other different people. For your understanding sake, when I try to speak to my friend, my co-workers when I was working, even the word color, I have to pronounce differently to different people because they listen differently. American has American slang, British has a British slang. So how do we help you in this situation is the simple answer would be take yourself and immerse yourself in that situation where you have no choice but forced to listen. You realize you grow really, really fast. What do I mean? If you used to listen to Malay songs, right, or any other songs, switch to, let's say, English song, the one that you truly love. I'm not asking you to pick up any random English song and start listening. Pick up the one that you really treasure, you love, and it's meaningful, you start listening to it. Learn the way that they pronounce, okay? And when you turn on a movie, instead of watching some usual movie that you used to watch, turn on some movie that speaks great English. By the way, there's a difference between American English and British English in terms of accent. When it comes to Australian, they have another accent as well. So depending on which one are you trying to learn and to pick up. And obviously, different lecturers coming back from overseas, from a different university, they will have a different slang as well. Yeah. So if you could find out what slang are they usually talking about, then it shouldn't be a problem. Just for the fact of all of your information, most of the YouTube video that you watch online, if it is talking about in English, most of it, they are American English. Yeah, just for you to know. Okay. Short answer, put yourself in that environment and you should be fine. You will be fine, in fact. Okay. Another one is, instead of talking to your usual friend, which this is going to take you slightly out of the comfort zone, find some friends who is really a native or good English speaker, speak to them, talk to them. Yes, I agree with you. For a moment, it would be very embarrassed. It would be very takut kena apa tu? Orang ketawa ke. They will laugh. But I also have to tell you the fact that they won't remember this. Now, even if they remember this so-called funny experience about you trying to speak proper English, so what? If I don't tell you this story right now, do you think I was a poor English speaker? Laughed by the other 53 crew members? You wouldn't know, right? Put yourself in that situation. You better be embarrassed here right now, even though I think it won't. But let's be honest. I would rather have you embarrassed right now to pick up the right English than to go out there be embarrassed more. Since you're going to embarrass anyway, why not now? The earlier you start, the better you'll be. I hope I answer your question, Sidi.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Very quick, we move into Q&A session already. But thank you for your question anyway. Shall we have another round of asking questions? Any volunteer? Any other volunteer would like to be? Oh, there are two hands here, CD and Harith. I guess CD forgot to put down the hand. So Harith, will you want to be the volunteer here?
Yeah.
Right, cool, thank you. No, so now envision something in your mind, anything, and hold that to your thoughts. Right,
Okay,
so
got it.
thank you very much. Any asker? Anyone who wants to ask Harith? Sorry?
Aisha here.
Hello, Aisha. I couldn't see you on the screen, but thank you for.
Okay.
So do you have any questions for?
My question is, are you an object?
Yes, I am.
Wow.
Can the object hold something?
Yes.
Ini semua pandai-pandai ni.
Are the object is cylinder in shape?
There in shape.
Yes.
Oh, look at that. Keep asking. You still have the chance.
Can the object write?
No.
Okay.
Write as in write with pen.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Oh, thank you so much for asking the questions. So now we know that the scope is narrowed down already. So can we have the next asker? Any hands? CD, welcome back. So what's your question?
Okay. Can your object being like filled really easy with something?
Yes.
Another question? Good job.
Is your object is a bottle?
No.
Okay.
Oh, good try. Bukan water. Ingat senang ke? Quiz Mr. Fu tadi senang. Ni tak senang. So, right. Yasmin.
Okay.
Hello.
Students use this object.
Wait, what was that?
Sorry?
The students use this object.
Students?
Yeah.
No.
Good try, Yasmin. Keep the questions flowing. Come on, next askers. Anyone? Or you happen to have an answer, you can try here anyway. Right. How do I pronounce this? Najan Aida.
Yes, Mr. Fu. Najan.
Go ahead.
Are you male?
No.
You're not male. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Good try. Come. Keep shooting him with questions. I think he enjoyed very much.
This is quite hard.
Yeah. Farah?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Are you cheap in price?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Really mahal ni, Farah. Thank you. I couldn't see the name, but I see a picture with a woman taking a phone on it. Okay, yeah, come.
Nasrin Malik.
Nasrin. Hello? Nasrin? Are you there? Hello, Nasrin.
Oh, she unmuted herself. Nasrin, hello?
In case you're talking, we couldn't hear you. Right, while waiting for Nasrin, shall we go to the next person first? Thank you for everything and sorry for my mistakes. I'm so sorry, there's no name appeared.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, Rina.
So my question for Hari is, do you enjoy your life at the moment?
I mean, yes.
Okay. My next question is, do you feel sleepy now?
Mr. Fu, is this?
I think Haris is an object. Oh, how can an object feel sleepy, my friend?
I guess no. No.
Right, Nasrin. Yes, your turn, Nasrin. We can see your hand. Are you right? In case you couldn't speak, could you type? Right. Waiting for Nasrin's message. And maybe Nasrin is thinking what to ask right now. Well, Harith, your question is very challenging.
Yeah, I suppose for university students, yeah, it is.
Right. So Nasrin is asking you, can you speak?
Can I speak? Hello?
Yeah, with regards to the object, the thing that you have in mind.
No.
No, cannot, Nasrin. Thank you. Asmira.
Yes.
The question to Harith is,
Are you used to take pictures or something?
No.
Okay.
oops. Right, so it's going to be very hard. So who's SAB?
Oh, same.
I want to ask, is that you can move by yourself?
No.
Okay, for those who have put up a hand, could you please put down first? Now we have the turn for Aliana. Hello, Aliana. You put up your hand just now.
Which?
Sorry, come again?
Can the object hold water and food?
What was that again? And food?
Can the object hold water and food?
Yeah.
No. Oh, Aisha.
Aisha, go ahead.
My question is, can the object hold a person?
Oh, no.
Okay.
We're going to try with two more persons and we'll let Harry to tell us what's this thinking.
Okay. Diana and Sidi is interested.
Yeah. Diana, go ahead.
Can I from you, Mr. DIY?
Oof. No.
Oh, not from Mr. DIY. Thank you. Sidi, last try.
Are you being used by a rich person?
Yes.
Oh,
Wow.
long
Oh, yeah. What is that?
What is that?
Tanya persoalan tu. I really can only answer yes or no.
Wait.
Again.
No, take your time. This is the last try.
Yeah.
Come on, Sidi, you can do it.
Is your price is more than 100?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Keep going.
Are your price more than 500?
Yes.
Keep going. Don't tell me you're going to ask, are your price more than 600? Huh? But if you already know what is it in his brain, in his mind, you can try answer.
Does it is electronic or use like battery or something?
No.
No.
Good try. You carried
Yeah,
to the
good try.
furthest. Thank you, Siri. Really great try.
Yeah.
Well, if I were to ask her, I think I would ask, can you tell us the answer?
No.
So Haris, can you tell us, tell your friend what is it in your mind?
It was a gun.
It was a gun.
It was a
It
gun.
was a gun.
Yeah, so yeah, it's very hard for university students. So I thought they wouldn't think about that.
Yeah, which is why he said it can fill in water also because there's water gun.
Oh,
Yeah,
is
you
that?
answered yes just now to one of the questions. Say, can you fill by water, right?
I was thinking about a real gun. That's, you know, I'm not cheap if I'm a real gun.
I see.
Mhm.
Well, you see, what we're trying to have here is that if you know what's the right question, it leads you to the right answer. Yeah. So what's the learning here is that our brain, right? Thank you very much, Harry. Thank you so much for your participation. I really, really enjoyed the session.
You're most welcome, Mr. Fu.
Thank you. Right here, one of the things I wanted you all of you to know is that our brain, it works this way. It works based on question. Only when you have question, it started working. Probably, have you heard of Steve Jobs when he was still alive? He didn't even allow his children to have a digital Apple devices. Have you heard of that? Have you heard of why some professionals like doctors, they don't watch TV at home? Or some entrepreneurs or philanthropists, they don't watch TV. Do you know why? Because when it comes to all these things, gadgets, things, and so on, movie, right? As you are listening to me, including in this example, when I am not using a question mark to trigger your mind, basically our mind is in a receptive stage. So you just listen, accept, input. So you got to be sometimes be careful not to use this when you are studying. Yes, Sidi, you have a question?
Oh, no, sorry.
Right. Okay, you got to be careful that because, look, knowledge is about having the right answer. If you're focusing on getting the knowledge here, go ahead and find the right answer. But if you're focusing on intelligence, which intelligence comes with a package of ability to process the knowledge and the knowledge itself, something better. Intelligence is about asking the right question. Yeah, including the examples of you want to get extra pocket money from your parents and so on. It's about asking the right questions. Then only you have the right answer. So from today onwards, my humble invitation to all of you is whatever is being given to you, please start asking the validity, the questions behind it. Yeah, because, okay, side story. When you look at the TV or YouTube or any advertisements that pops up, advertisements is trying to tell you what they want you to know. Repeat, advertisement and its equivalent is trying to tell you what they want you to know. They don't want you to ask something they don't want you to know. For example, how many of you love drinking Milo here? Do you know Milo is very high in sugar level, sugar content? How many of you love drinking Coke here? One of the best drinks in the world.
I hate Coke.
You love Coke. You hate Coke.
I don't drink it.
So bad.
Coke was once a medicine. You know that. It was a very bitter medicine in the past. So what did they do with this? They have this formula which was only sold in the pharmacy. Obviously, it's a medicine. They took this pharmacy, modified a little. Since the taste was really bitter, what they did with it was they added in a lot of sugar syrup. And they put in carbon dioxide as well to make it a drink. And we loved it, forgetting about the question to ask whether this is healthy for our life or not. Yeah. So remember to start asking questions whenever information is given to you. I don't mean to ask you to challenge the authority when it comes to this, but you can ask the question inside here to yourself. What's the purpose of us learning here? What can we do with this thing and so on? That's also to help you find a connection to why you're learning what you're learning. Yeah. Okay. In short, from today onwards, start asking a question. And as you progress, I would invite you to ask a quality question. Quality questions gives you quality answer, right? So that's very generic part, asking questions. Next, we're going to move on to something even more specific already. I'm going to share with you how to read, when to read, what to read. Yeah. So something I would call a SCR method. Okay. Don't worry about taking any notes. I think this thing would be able to reviewable on YouTube, so you can always review it. So focus on getting the gist of it. What is it that this method is all about? Yeah. So SCR method is it's a method you can easily find online. It's not created by me, right? SQU, as you can see, SQ3R. Another way we call it is SKER. SCR method is that it consists of S, survey, Q, questions, and then 3R, read, recite, and review. Truth to be told, I believe none of us were born in a way that when we first go into kindergarten, we're given a book, how to study. None of us learned that yet. If that's the case, why not we take this opportunity to start finding out how learning actually takes place? So it means what we're trying to do, the ultimate purpose of the SCR method is so that we can read with purpose and we can understand complex information. You're definitely going to use it as you progress to the current level of education. So without further ado, let's go on. Survey. It's about when you're having a book. Let's say, the lecture is going to cover chapter 1 for the next 2 weeks. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the textbook if you have one, skim through from one page to another. Your job is to look at, the main topic and the main subtopic. Look at 1.1, 1.2, 1.21, and see how things flow. If you want, you can also look at chapter 2. See what's the relationship, what are the similarity between chapter 2 to chapter 1. Okay, look at things like learning objectives. Look at the pictures, right? Look at the bold keywords. Look at the summary. To get a big idea. The idea here is not that you remember everything. The idea here is about getting an impression overall how things will look like, to prep your mind, to have a mental readiness before you go into the class. Next, once you have a big picture, I believe if you practice the questioning session enough, you'll start asking questions. Why there is this thing here? Why do I need to learn this after this? And how is this question connect to chapter 1? So let these questions automatically and naturally surface. Take it to the next step. You may want to consider write it down, because when you are in the lectures, this is where you get your questions answered. Remember, we practice about asking questions. You also have to find a way to get your questions answered. Yeah. So what other questions can we ask? There are 5 W and 1 H. Who, what, why, we, when, where, and how. These can all be turned into questions. So a simple technique would be for whatever topic or subtopic, the headings that you have, try to turn into questions. For example, gravity, okay, forces and motion. If the topic is forces and motion, you can easily turn it into, what is forces and motion? I mean, what are forces in motion? Why do we need to learn forces in motion? Where do forces in motion apply to? What does it normally apply to? Well, what does normally apply to tells you it applies to usually dead things, not living things. When it happens, when equilibrium is not achieved. So when you start asking questions, somehow or other, you're already prepared before the lecture. Automatically, naturally. In short, after you survey, turn the topics or subtopic into question by using the who, what, why, where, when, and how. A simple technique you have learned in English. Once you're done with that, then you can start reading. Either you read it before the lecture or after the lecture, it's up to you. but I will have a suggestion for you later. Then as you read, the difference between take a book and started reading right away and you skim through, you have a big picture in your brain already. By the way, the big picture is something that people couldn't see. Yeah? When you skim through the book already, you have a big picture and you read. Rest assured, you're going to have a different effectiveness when it comes to you are just taking book and starting reading from one page to another. I experienced this myself from a personal capacity. I was the type of student where I would take the book and start reading. Okay, this page. It took me a long time, a really long time. Try to understand everything, one thing from another, because I'm a visual person. So I take details. I take great details of everything. So I try to turn everything into picture. So it took me maybe half a day to read the first page. When I move on to the second page, guess what? For whatever that I have drawn is already drawn on the second page. So if you have done the survey, you wouldn't have wasted the time that I wasted. You get what I mean? Survey first, question first, read, then read. It is aimed at increasing the effectiveness and saving your time. What that I want to share with all of you here is, if you tend to be a visual learner, watch out this thing. And also for those who tend to speak fast and tend to do things in a very fast manner, when it comes to learning new things, please slow down. Do not use your usual speed in learning new things. Because if you do, you're definitely going to screw up. Because you will in the end find yourself reread and reread and reread. Don't understand what is it. Slow down. Okay. There's a saying that we use here. Sometimes slow is fast. Because when you're slow, you captured everything. When you're fast, you keep on rereading without retention, without understanding. You might as well slow down and read for understanding. So slow down. Yeah. That would means you don't do last minute reading. You plan your time accordingly. Right? Next, once you read, if you are an auditory or even a kinesthetic person, do consider the recite method. Read out the answer, because as I am talking or when you are talking, who's the first listener? Yourself. When you talk, the nearest ear to you would be your ears. You are the one who will be listening to it first. So as you recite, you are reciting for yourself, activating your auditory sense of learning. Yeah. As you can see, this is where we tap into our auditory strength. Without doing the test just now, not knowing whether your strength is auditory, it will be somehow not so effective when it comes to this step, where you know you have to tap into it, which is why understanding yourself is really important. I hope you started to see it now. And lastly, review. Test yourself, identifying what is it that you're still not understanding, right? Using mnemonic device. Do you know what is mnemonic device or mnemonic technique?
No.
Okay, let me give you one example. So for those who have taken chemistry before, you know there's this chapter called electrochemistry. And inside electrochemistry, there's something called reactivity series, where you have to remember the list of elements with which one is most reactive, which one is least reactive. What if I tell you within the next 10 seconds, I can teach you a way you can remember immediately? Okay. Please stop calling me a cute zebra. Please stop calling me a cute zebra. Please stop calling me a cute zebra. So what does P stand for? Please. P stands for potassium. Stop stands for sodium. Like calling me a cute zebra stands for carbon, magnesium, and so on. Okay, if this doesn't relate to you, if you learn about mathematics, okay, simple science. Speed equals the distance over time. Speed equals the distance over time. You learn it in a way that you're put in a triangle. Sorry for my handwriting, something like this, right? DST, right? So when you want to find distance, you cover distance, speed times time, things like that, right? So how do you memorize this formula? Okay.
Visual?
That science teacher, that whatever you want to call it. So find a way that you can remember. Mnemonic is about taking the symbol and turn it into something funny. Okay, that sweet teacher, anything. This is called mnemonic technique. Yeah, or you can even use mind maps and make a notes for yourself. And talking about making notes, I have something wonderful for all of you. How to make a notes that's only for you and effective. Before that, let's take a look at this. This is a forgetting curve. Sorry, because not many this kind of curve is available online. This is the best I can find. So when I zoom in, it pixelated a little. But when you look at that, this graph generally divided into two types of graph, the curve. Yeah? There's this solid blue color curve, and also there's this dotted blue color curve. The blue color curve, all right, we have the x-axis, the horizontal representing days, and the vertical axis representing retention. 100% being you remembered everything, 0 being you remember nothing. So, example, yeah, whatever you listen today, it's day 0. And since I am just talking about that, your memory is still fresh, you remember it well, right? Please stop calling me a cute zebra, remember it very well, right? So on day 0, as you can see, the blue color curve started at 100% because your memory is still fresh. But guess what? Tomorrow, same time, Sunday, chances are you might still on the bed or not. But then the fact is, the memory drops down to somewhere around 54% already. Now, if you let it happen just like that without doing any review, guess what? It follows the dotted line, the blue dotted line, all the way down to probably 20-ish%. So when you take this first freshly learned thing and you did not revise it, chances are you only remember 20-something%. And guess what? You take the 20-something% and you enter the exam hall, what kind of mark are you going to get? 20-something%. It is that way. Right, let's assume you are disciplined and dedicated enough to do the revision tomorrow. One day later, you will notice that the moment after the first review, where it's circled in black, when you reviewed it tomorrow, this time, your memory will shoot all the way instantly back to 100%. Why? Why 100%? Why not 90, 80, 70? Because it just happened. And when you revised it the next day, when memory is still fresh, do you think you're going to take a long time to revise a short time? Short. Definitely short. Please stop calling me what? A cute zebra. I think when I say what, a cute zebra word is already appearing in your mind. Why is it so? Still fresh. So if you revise, please stop calling me a cute zebra tomorrow. I think this zebra will stick with you for quite a good long time. At least if you stop revising from there after the second review, check this out. Your memory doubles to 40-something%. At least. Well, depending on whether you're using the right technique. Now, let's just assume all of you are really disciplined, students. None of you is, procrastinator, finger crossed. You do the revision accordingly on the first day, after the third day, after 1 week, after a month, after 3 months. Usually that's when exam kicks in. What kind of marks are you getting? 90 and above. And imagine, after the first time revision, you did it on the third day. After that, you did it 1 week later. Do you think you're going to spend a long time revising? I don't think so. You know why? Because the memory, again, is still fresh. So revise at the right time is really, really important. Last one about this graph. By any chance, any one of you is the last minute person, right? Take a look at the graph, the first graph. It starts all the way at 100% at 0 days. and it gradually drops until 20-something%, right? So let's just say the 20% extend all the way until 90 days. How many subjects, how many times are you going to spend to bring all this 20-ish% back up to 100? A lot. Because by the time you forgot most of the thing already. You're not learning 1 or 2 topics only. You're learning a lot of topics. And you have a lot of subjects. Compile it together, you have a lot of things to learn. So if you were to ask to revise everything by the end of the 3rd month, who is not stressed? Computer. Like even computer will jam up if you open all the programs together. I hope this makes sense to you. Revise at the right time. That's when you spend little time and you get that effectiveness shoot through the truth. This is talking about when to do the right revision. So just give you a quick summary. We're talking about the story method. Yeah. Survey, the purpose is to do overview. You ask the question, it's like you want to set an objective. I don't understand this. I want to get it done. I want to get it solved. So this is where you read. You read to find answers. Okay. Now, when you found the answer, you sort of recite it, tap into your natural strength, whether it's auditory or kinesthetic, for comprehension purpose. And I truly believe still, when you've done the first 4 correctly, what leaves behind the effort that required review, which is, you can call it revision, minimal. Revision should be brutally easy when the first 4 steps is done correctly. Only when the first four steps is not done correctly, you don't ask the right questions, you don't read it, you don't recite it for comprehension. When a homework is given to you, or when an exam is coming up next week, you find it hard. You find it hard because Q, the question, the R, the recite is not there. Fundamentally, the last part, review, should be simple and should be made simple by the first 4. Yeah. So when do we do that? If you're disciplined enough, survey and question before class, read and recite after class, review before next class. It might sound like a lot of things to do, but if you were to do things anyway, you might as well do it this way because it's going to save you time now compared to the time before exam. Well, if you do it now, you don't feel stressed that much. If you do it before exam, you would have to do it, you have to go through this process anyway, but the stress level is really high. You're smart enough to make the choice. Yeah. Okay. We will leave the question to the next session. Okay. This is perhaps coming to the climax of this presentation. This is something for the past few years I haven't been presenting to your seniors. So this is the first time I ever present to the public. I use it internally with my students and my teachers. And so far, as you can see, the results is doing the talking already. Yeah. So what we're going to talk about is the 20% and the red boxes. What is that? These are the new thing. So bear with me. I'm going to tell you what is that. How many of you has been scoring 100% since young until now? If you are not the one that I'm mentioning,
Sorry?
how many of you has been scoring 100% all the time for all the papers until today? Anyone?
No.
No.
I guess not too, because I don't think anyone on earth will be able to score that. Yeah, practically. So that would means in the paper itself, we are bound to score some marks and bound to lose some. Make sense? You check whether whatever I'm going to share makes sense and logical to you. Huh? Remember, ask questions. Don't just take in whatever I share with you. I might be conning you right now. Who knows? I might sound confident and telling you with all this, in the end, it doesn't work. So don't just take it in. Learn how to filter things, see things from a perspective. Yeah, because maybe you heard of this. The first rate of intelligence is the ability of holding two opposing thoughts in the brain, and yet being able to function. That is first rate of intelligence. So I invite you to do this. So in the paper, we get some marks, we lost some marks. Where do you think the missing mark goes? Thought of this before? Maybe this is the time to start asking this question. Okay, only when you ask question, we'll get answer. So where do we lost the mark? From experience and research, almost all the time, the lost mark are either due to the 20% or due to the red box. Now, what do I mean with the 20% and the red box? Let's take a look at the 20%, the blue fish there. Okay. How many percent of oxygen is in the air? %, right? Around 21%, right? Okay. Have you heard of something called Pareto principle or 80-20 principle? Pareto, PA, not yet, right? Great, you can learn it today. Pareto stands for Pareto. You can Google it easily. There's a lot of information. In fact, they have books about this. But generally, what 20% is talking about is try and observe the world around us. The world around us is practicing this. The important 20% thing is driving the whole universe. Let me give you one example. The gas that we're breathing in right now, we only need to use the 20% of it, which is oxygen. Yeah, I guess you might heard of things like, in a country or even in the world, the top 10 to 20% richest human being, they make 80% of the money in the world. You heard of this kind of saying before? The top 20% population, they're making the money that the remaining 80% is making. It seems like there is this 20-80% rules lying and driving the entire things, whether it is science, biology, economics, finance, or study. So how does it drive things here in studying? If you happen to have any textbook around you, I suggest you pick it up and you start flipping through it. Okay. Now I'm challenging you with this idea. Of course, with respect, is that in the book itself, whatever that book is, in the book itself, there are only 20% important things. There are only 20% important things you need to know. What do I mean? The rest of the 80% you can tear it up and throw in the dustbin? That's not my meaning. 100% is there for a reason. So let me make a disclaimer here. I am not saying the 80% is not important. I am not saying the 80% is not important, but I'm trying to tell you there is the 20% most important thing in there. Example? You see, we can easily verify this idea. Is everything you learned in the past come out in exam? No. Did you notice that the things that always come out in exam is usually only these few things? If you really research and do analysis on that, only these kind of questions. If you do pass your paper, always these kind of questions coming up. What do I mean? 20% important things. So, and then Mr. Fu, you're talking about the 80%. So how do we deal with that 80%? That 80% is there to help you understand what that 20% is. Let me repeat. In the book, you have 100%. Find out that 20%. This is what the book is all about. What that 80% is doing is to make sure you understand this 20%. Yeah. So what does 80% look like? Well, they usually comes out in the form of pictures, graph, illustration, explanation, exercises. You get what I mean now? Introduction, for example. So all of these things is to make sure you understand the 20%. So if you have been this type of students who, whoa, today I'm really fresh, motivated, I want to study this subject. Okay, take out a book. Well, obviously, when you take out a book, you would definitely read the first page, as in generally it's introduction, right? Is introduction to 80%? Yes. Is introduction to 20%? No. So you're spending your most effective time and focus on 80%. Do you think you're going to go where? No. Identify the 20%. Identify the 20%. Yeah. Okay. How does 20% looks like? Look at the screen. Here, there's a slide. There's a plant come out from a ground. Let's just say you want to unearth this plant. You want to remove this plant from the ground. Where would you hold to apply the pulling force? Where would you? Are you going to hold the leaf and pull? Oh, yes, you can, but what goes with your hand is only the leaves. Right? Are you going to hold on a stick and pull? Well, yes, you can. Only the stick will follow you. But if you focus on the right place, which is the bottom stem near the ground, you focus on the right 20% place, and you pull, what's going to happen? The entire plant plus the root system is going to follow you. So do you get what I mean here? I am not saying the leaves is not important. I'm not saying the stem is not important. I'm not trying to leave behind the roots, but I'm trying to tell you, if you focus on the right thing, the 20%, you get everything. So when you study, now think back. Have you been studying most on the 80%, or are you studying on the 20%? Find out the 20%. How do you find out the 20%? Look for summary part. The best way sometimes is look at the exam paper. The exam paper will tell you what the 20% is. Another best way is attend the lectures. Do you think the lecture is going to tell you something not important? Definitely not. They're going to tell you something important. That something important is the 20%. And only when you don't understand what is it about, you go back to refer to the book and find the explanation. Focus on the right thing at the right time. Put it another way, when you're in lecture, trying to listen to what that 20% is all about. Do not focus on taking all the notes unless you are being told to. Yeah, for sure, there's a reason. But my invitation to you is find out what's that 20%. That's when you realize it becomes more effective. So you lost some mark due to you don't understand what 20% is. You couldn't score well because you don't know what 20% is. You spent the wrong place. Another possibility is that, okay, if you look at the previous slide, you lost mark also could due to red boxes. What do I mean? Red box is obviously a box with a red color frame. You've done maths before. Is this one of your common mistakes in the past? Well, we have yes and no, right? So this is called quadratic expansion. We're supposed to have two brackets and then do the expansion accordingly. But some students, they made mistakes, right? And they will thought a squared plus b squared is the answer. They will thought that. So whenever you made mistakes, I would suggest you from today onwards, prepare a red pen, right? If you are making notes, get another piece, get another book, start recording down all the mistakes you made. Don't feel bad. For the fact that if you know you can get this question wrong here, you're definitely going to get this question wrong in the exam if you don't take corrective action. So what that means? That means if you know this is what you're going to get wrong, record down in a book. I'm going to write down the whole thing in a book, and then I'm going to box it in with a red color pen. Why red color pen? Red color is like, it catches your attention really easily. And then you will notice on top left side here, I put 2 stars there. First star being the first attempt. You made the first mistake, you record it. I'm pretty sure if you don't revise it enough, you are going to make the same mistake elsewhere. Yes? If it happens again, if you catch yourself repeating the same mistake, that's fine. Remember, we see mistake differently and we see it as a guiding force here. Tell us what to do it correctly. Come back to this red box, add the second star there. Right? Sooner or later, whether you learn it when it was 1 star or when you learn it when it was 10 star, you will realize you have been doing these mistakes over and over and over again. Okay, wrap it up. If you know what's a 20% and pair with a lot of exercises, well, you see, teachers or lecturers have been giving us homework and tests and so on. What's the purpose of homework and tests? To surface these red boxes, to see whether you understand or not. Now, what have you done after each exam? Did you consciously take down the note of the exam? This is something we have to consider. You got it wrong. If you heard of Murphy's Law, it says if things will go right, if things will go wrong, things will go wrong, right? It will happen here as well. Okay. So far, if you think I'm talking about focusing on mistakes, correcting mistakes, and focusing on 20%, you might have questions. Then, do we need to focus on the correct things? No need. The very same concept we're talking about here, if you get it wrong, you will get it wrong again. So you have to pay attention. So if you get it right, it will be right again, because that means your understanding is correct. So the things that correct, you will definitely want to repeat the correct answer until one day you got it wrong again, which you would also record it in red box. So don't worry about that. Don't worry. Don't focus on correct answer. Focus on mistake. This is one of the aspects that that is going to take the marks and put it back onto your exam paper. Okay. Next, this is a picture that I have one of my art teacher to design. You would never seen this picture anywhere else because we drew it ourselves. On the top left side, you will see there's a river, symbolizes 24 hours in a day, right? And then over the center bottom, you will see two people in their running suits, running on a treadmill and trying to pump some water into the aquarium. Well, you will only get the effort and focus of running on the treadmill. You run on the treadmill, then only the pump will pump the water from river to the aquarium. So what is it that we are trying to say? You have 24 hours in the day, symbolized by the river. And are you spending the effort and the focus revising? Revising symbolizes put yourself on a treadmill and just run. You run for maybe 1 km. You know, 1 km is really short. Average human being walks in a daily from rise to rest. We walk 7 km in a day without us knowing. So 1 km is nothing, but have you spent the time, put yourself on the treadmill and really run for 1 km daily so that you can pump some water into the aquarium? So what is inside the aquarium? Fishes. We have 2 types of fishes here. Check this out. You've seen this already. Oops, is it lagging? Okay, 2 types of fishes here. The blue and also the red. The blue symbolizes by the 20%. Okay, once you realize that, you're going to put it in a tank. Red boxes symbolizes by mistakes. Once you realize that, you put it in a red box and you put it in a tank. So you have 20% and you have red boxes. These 2 things you put in a tank. Okay, you put in a tank. Are you spending daily time? Look at your tank. Look at your fishes. Because if you don't look at it, the fishes die. And when the fishes die, how do you know? I mean, how can you score well? This is also a system that we can use in school, in anywhere when a student is concerned, because we know there's definitely going to be a river 24 hours. Now, as a principal of Springate Academy, this system is for me to check my teacher and students. If my teacher is doing a great job here, teaching the students 25%, the 20% and also identifying the red boxes, I will check the aquarium. The aquarium will be full of fishes, qualitative things that students need to know. But then whether this fish is dead or alive, I'll look at the students. Then I will know it's a student's problem or a teacher's problem. You get what I mean? And to share with you, it's mostly the student's problem because the fish is always died in the tank. Right. Okay, this is a repetition of what the graph is talking about. Here, we talk about revise the right thing. The 20% and the red boxes. These are the right thing to revise. You don't revise everything. You revise on this too, because we lost mark on this too. Yeah. Next, this is when you revise at the right time. When you do the revision of right thing at the right time, it is very hard not for you to score this. Very hard not to. Does it make sense to you? Okay, so it's 12:15 already. I think I'm going to spend just the next few minutes, maybe next 5 minutes to finish up the note-taking part. Okay, if you want, I can share my slide with Juan Niza, and she can share with all of you. So just listen to this. That was the previous 20% of the red box is how you make your own note. We made different mistakes from your friends. So that session previously was for you making your own note personally. How do you take notes during lecture in a class? There's another method for you. But before that, here are the misconceptions when it comes to taking notes. A lot of students might think that revision means rereading the whole book over and over and over and over again until they remember. No, not effective. It's good, you're hardworking, but that's, I'm afraid, not effective method. Second, notes should consist only important facts. Not really. I personally think notes should consist mistakes as well. Yeah, because as you can see, mistake is one of the part where that we will lose the marks. Next, notes should be as detailed as possible. Definitely not. What should be as detailed as possible? Textbook, not notes. Okay, notes, it's a simplified version, a 3-year-old answer of your comprehension about what that book is. Repeat, note is a simplified version, a condensed understanding of what that book is all about, in particular, the 20%. A 3-year-old answer version, yeah? So it is not about everything. You want to find everything, you go to Google. You want to find everything, you go to textbook. Notes should never consist everything. Next, with the notes, your results will improve. Well, technically speaking, if I buy a treadmill at home, I will be slim. You know that's not true. Until you put yourself on a treadmill, then only you become slim. So you have notes, if you don't revise it, not going to work. Yeah? Is it a good notes? Tremendous effort. I salute it. But do you want to read? That's
really
another
bad.
question. Beautifully drawn, right? Artistically driven. The handwriting is so neat. It's like an encyclopedia, but I will take a pass. I feel sleepy looking at it. This one, it's more complicated than Google Maps. Notes? Yes. Effective? Afraid not. What about this? Colorful? Yeah. Simple enough? Yeah. But is this the best note? I'm afraid not as well. So, what is considered a best note? There must be a structure where you put your eyes on it, immediately you will know what you need to look at first, what you need to look at next, what is important and what is not. So even though this is the best among the three, I wouldn't say this is the best until you apply this method. Cornell note-taking method. It is available online as well, but when you look at the screen, you will know there are 3 different sections. You have a cue section, you have a note section, you have a summary section. Okay, basically it tells you what to write. It pairs very well with the SCUR method as well. As in whether when you have a question, remember the second step after you review, you have a question, you put on a Q column. Right? When you're attending the lessons, listening to lecture, you found an answer, you jot down in the notes column. Okay, you have questions and you have answer already. After lesson, you're doing your self-revision. You're trying to find your 20%, right? Okay, you realize, my God, I realized what is the important thing here already. Where do you write? Summary column. Easy. If I want to see, if I'm your lecturer, if I want to see whether you're prepared for your class already, I'll see what's your Q column. If I want to see whether you're paying attention in the lecture, I'll look at notes column. And if I want to see whether you do your revision, I'll look at the summary column. Easy. Then we will know which part of the learning process you are lacking of effort or you are requiring help. This type of notes is making sure you activate the right part of brain at the right time. Yeah. So we are coming to an end already. Oh, okay. This is basically, well, you see there's 5 steps here: record, question, recite, reflect, and review, right? This is when, where, what, and how. Okay, we record it during lecture. Note taking on the left hand side. Well, I will have to say this method, the Cornell note taking method, it works very well hand in hand with the SCUR method, right? So there's a record and run through slowly so they can do a screenshot if you are reviewing through the YouTube. This is for the question part. This is recite part, something similar to the SCUR method. This is reflect part, we're talking about a revision. Yeah, this is the review part, where you repeat step 2 to 4 until we remember at the right time. Yeah. So this is about Cornell's note-taking method. Suggest you to use this for before, during, and after attending a lecture. Yeah. So we have come to an end already, where we talk about you, where we focus on input. You found out your dominant senses already. And after that, we did a multiple intelligence test. You know, we find out what kind of intelligence is dominant in your brain, right? You have to report. And as we talk about it, once you finish on the input and the process correctly, there shouldn't be any problem for you remembering what you have learned. Together with the study technique that we are talking about, the SCUR method, which consists of these 5 steps, as well as the red boxes and the 20%. Lastly, together with Cornell's note-taking method, I'm pretty sure if you stick to this method, it will bring you to the next level of academic excellence. With that, I would like to thank all of you for spending your quality Saturday morning time with me here, and as well as thanking Ms. Wan Azniza for inviting me, for having a chance, another chance to speak to all of you, as well as IIUM for having me for one more time. I'm really glad and excited with this session. Thank you so much. And I wish you, all of you, the best of luck for your future endeavors. Good luck.
Okay. So now we are at the end of the session. Thank you very much, Mr. Hu, on behalf of the university, on behalf of Center for Foundation Studies. So I'm very glad today because at the end, I can have full session as the first slot, as the first program for my unit, for counseling and services, career services unit. Because I know that the priority when you come here is to study. So I have a mind that I want students to stop, use the same technique, use the same things from the school and start construct the new things for them to study excellent. So I know that who can offer us more than what we want to start. So thank you so much, and hopefully we can have more session with Fu. Maybe I try to have for the after one semester. after my semesters. I'll try to sit with Fu and want to have the continuation, inshallah. Okay. So thank you very much, Fu. Okay. See you again. So we cannot have a question and answer session, I think, because we use this time already at the middle of the program. So that's all for today, everyone. Contact me if you want the slide. Okay, Fu will email me the slide, so all of you can contact me to get the slide. Okay, Assalamualaikum. Let's ended with Tasbih Kafarah dan Surah Wal Asri. Okay, enjoy weekend, everyone. Fu, thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best to all of you. Enjoy your weekend. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
day. Take care.
Thank you, Mr. Fu. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Mr. Fu. Thank you, Madam.
Okay. Jangan lupa evaluation ya. Jangan lupa isi evaluation ya.
Madam, can I ask
Okay.
you something?
Okay, yes.
How can I get your contact number?
Okay, 017.
Wait.
Okay. Okay, my contact number 017-2215-017. Okay. Okay, jangan lupa ya evaluation form. Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Salam.